this dream in my soul.
It looks like Riverdale might not be done with us just yet, because there are rumors swirling around about a possible Riverdale reboot that could take things in a whole new direction, this time diving into the multiverse. And honestly, that idea doesn't sound too far-fetched. If you've read the Archie Comics over the years, you know that wild crossovers and alternate realities are nothing new in that universe. So even though the idea of another reboot might sound like a big deal, it actually fits right into the weird, unpredictable DNA of Riverdale and Archie's world. But here's where it gets interesting. Fans aren't exactly thrilled with how Riverdale ended. The show started out strong, giving us that mysterious dark twist on small-town life with a crime-solving edge that hooked people from the very beginning. The first season especially had the perfect balance of teen drama, suspense, and that classic murder mystery vibe. But somewhere along the line, things got, well, kind of chaotic. The show started leaning into the bizarre, with storylines that went from supernatural twists to cults and time jumps, and for a bunch of viewers it just became too much. Ask anyone who actually stuck around till the end, and most will tell you it wasn't worth the ride anymore. So if Riverdale really is getting a reboot, the best way forward might be to go back to what made it work in the first place. Tight storytelling, crime-solving plots, and that grounded yet mysterious tone that made people fall in love with it early on. And if this reboot also brings in a fresh cast, it could actually breathe new life into the whole franchise. Imagine Wolfgang Novogratz stepping into the role of Jughead with his moody offbeat charm, Madison Iceman playing Betty Cooper with that mix of sweetness and steel, Olivia Rodrigo as Veronica Lodge bringing her signature cool girl energy and emotional depth, and Colin Ford as Archie Andrews giving us a new take on the all-American teen hero. That lineup sounds like it could seriously work, especially if the show aims to capture that early Riverdale magic again. And let's be real, Archie Comics has always thrived on reinvention. Over the decades, Archie and his friends have crossed paths with just about everyone and everything imaginable. You've got Archie meets the Punisher, Archie meets Glee, and even Archie vs. Predator. Those aren't just random comic gimmicks either. They've actually been a big part of what's kept the franchise alive and unpredictable for generations. The Archie brand has never been afraid to get weird, and that's part of its charm. It's proof that the characters can survive and even thrive in completely ridiculous settings. So when you think about it, blending those kinds of crossover ideas into a rebooted Riverdale series or even a film doesn't sound that crazy. In fact, it could be what keeps it fresh. Just picture it, Archie and the gang thrown into crossover chaos, solving crimes while bumping into famous characters from other universes. It's the kind of idea that would take a bunch of creativity to pull off, but if anyone could do it right, it's probably Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Those two already proved they can juggle multiple versions of a story with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where they brought together a bunch of different spider people into one cohesive and emotional story. They even toyed with the idea of blending Men in Black and 21 Jump Street into one crossover movie before that project was scrapped. Now imagine Lord and Miller taking on the Archie universe. With their knack for balancing humor, heart, and chaos, they could easily give Riverdale the kind of reboot that respects its roots but also pushes it into a wild new direction. The project is rumored to be connected to Universal, which might limit which franchises they could legally cross over with, but that doesn't mean the possibilities aren't exciting. Think about it, Archie in Jurassic Park, Archie meets King Kong, or even Archie versus the Universal monsters. It sounds wild, but it also sounds like the exact kind of absurd fun that could make fans fall in love with Riverdale again, only this time with a bigger cinematic twist. And speaking of leaning into the weird, one of the most underrated parts of Archie's history was the late 90s animated show Archie's Weird Mysteries. That series took the familiar town of Riverdale and turned it into a magnet for monsters, aliens, and all kinds of paranormal mayhem. It ran for 40 episodes starting in 1999, and it had that perfect mix of humor, horror, and mystery that made it both goofy and oddly compelling. Every episode was like a Monster of the Week setup. One week it was killer potatoes, the next week it was aliens or androids or some mad scientist trying to take over the world. It was very Scooby-Doo inspired, but with that signature Archie twist where the gang always found themselves in over their heads while trying to save the town. The show's format could actually be a perfect blueprint for a modern reboot. Instead of trying to force a long, overcomplicated story arc that spirals out of control, a Monster of the Week setup could give each episode its own mystery, with small threads tying them together into something bigger by the end. It would bring back that sense of fun and unpredictability that Riverdale slowly lost over time. Plus, it would let the show explore a bunch of different tones, from creepy and supernatural to emotional and funny, all while keeping things grounded in the character dynamics that make Archie and his friends so relatable. And if you think about how successful similar formats have been recently, like Wednesday, which nailed that spooky, quirky teen mystery vibe, it's not hard to imagine Archie's Weird Mysteries being revived in live action form. It could strike that same balance between nostalgia and innovation, giving fans of the comics something familiar while also inviting new viewers in with modern storytelling and a sharper, more cinematic tone. Because here's the thing, Riverdale's biggest strength has always been its characters. No matter how crazy the plotlines got, fans stayed for Archie, Betty, Veronica, and Jughead. That core group is what kept people watching even when the stories went off the rails. So if a reboot can refocus on them, on their friendships, rivalries, and the strange but charming energy of Riverdale itself, it could totally work. It just needs to stop trying to be 5 different genres at once and instead embrace the mystery, the tension, and the small town secrets that made it special in the first place. There's also something really fun about the idea of bringing back the crossover spirit in today's era of multiverses. Everything from Spider-Man No Way Home to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness has shown how much audiences love seeing familiar characters from different universes collide. So why not let Archie and the gang join that trend? The Archie Comics have already set the stage for it. They've met superheroes, TV show casts, and even horror icons. A multiverse-based reboot could play around with that idea, showing different versions of Riverdale, or maybe even giving fans alternate takes on the main characters. Imagine one version of Jughead as a full-on detective in a noir setting, another where Veronica runs a tech empire, or one where Betty is a paranormal investigator. It opens the door for endless creativity. And if the rumors about Lord and Miller being attached end up true, we could be looking at something really special. Their storytelling style has always mixed humor with genuine emotion, and they're great at turning seemingly ridiculous premises into smart, heartfelt stories. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.